We seek nothing beyond reality. From Wallace Stevens, An Ordinary Evening in New Haven. Wer, wenn ich schrie, hörte mich den Ausstellingo Ordnungen. R.M. Rilke, Du en Esel Elegien. And who, if I cried, would hear me then among the angelic orders? Rilke's old question at Duino, just a little ways up the Adriatic from the current South Slavic unpleasantness. Bombs over Dubrovnik, the prolonged siege of Sarajevo, and the more or less complete destruction of a great deal of lately existing medieval architecture. The things I do, squeezed into black at 6 p.m., already late for a midtown reception to meet the artist, and waiting for a MARTA train. Please be patient, we are experiencing, as they always say, no more than a momentary interruption. We ought to be sympathetic here in Atlanta to the imminent demise of a recent Olympic host, even if a century and a quarter of subsequent nastiness has long since shifted our regional obsessions away from the doings of William Tecumseh Sherman. It is in Sarajevo as if rednecks from a 500-mile radius had gathered to obliterate the Balkans' most singularly successful multicultural experiment. Through weeks on weeks of the siege, a solo cellist would play for 15 minutes daily on the street where children and women died from shell fire. Standing on the eastbound platform in the Inman Park MARTA station, I could, if I turned, survey the townhouses built atop the central sites of the Battle of Atlanta. July 22nd, 1864 really was a whole other time and universe. And my great-grandfather was presumably somewhere over there behind my present office, rescuing the wounded under shell fire from the federal batteries on Battery Place. I'll never know, of course, but it somehow pleases me to think that family history comes around again. The first time as tragedy, the second time as farce. Karl Marx's 18th Brumaire comes in handy so often. Tired witticisms of a tired art critic. I hear that skateboarding is popular these days in Sarajevo, Sniper's Alley being a favorite spot for death-defying feats of acrobatics. When Susan Sontag came to direct Godot, her first symbolic act was to decline the wearing of a flak jacket. DeGrasse's guns were right up there. Under those historical circumstances, I would not have recommended standing in this particular railroad cut. Hood's men advanced over there by the jogging trail. Who, if I cried out, would hear me then among the non-angelic orders? Skateboarding in Sarajevo, like playing the cello where a shell struck, is an obvious affirmation of the survival of a cultured, ironic city. Lately, the citizens have grown tired of irony and begun making babies as a form of resistance. This does not change in any case the skateboarders or the cellist. In such corners of skeptical Europe, symbols still count for more than population data. Bullets fly here too, actually, too many nights 100 feet or at most 3 or 4 from most of the east-west MARTA stations. On, say, any ordinary evening in Atlanta, does anyone play cello or a sweet jazz trumpet where local children fell in a crossfire? Civilization, or some pathetic facsimile of it, depends on such stuff that, and I quote, makes nothing happen. A long poem at Duino. Skateboarding past snipers, producing Beckett in a besieged city, or any act that interferes with our daily distraction. No wonder our own polite, historically appropriate response to the drawn-out destruction of some of Eastern Europe's most significant centers of art and intellect is, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. Well, hell, the MARTA train is finally coming. Another opening, another show, another 6 newspaper column inches. No high explosives will fall tonight on the High Museum. Murders and rapes occur at the Arts Center station no more than once or twice a year. And in any case, everyone knows nobody but an art critic would come by public transport. Who, if I cried out, would hear me then in any public orders whatsoever? Skateboarding in Sarajevo, the cello player rescuing the souls of the dead, pools of blood at certain street corners, and a damned wind hustling me onto MARTA, where your next station is King Memorial. Exit here for the Martin Luther King Historic District in Oakland Cemetery. And I write a stupid opening sentence I will never use. It's hard at most receptions for the artist to see what's really happening. For beauty is the beginning of terror we can barely endure, and these days even the animals know it that we aren't securely at home in our media-mediated universe. Who, if I cried, 5-point station, transfer point for the north-south line. Who, if I... Skateboarding, the cellist of Sarajevo, and Susan Sontag were all most elegantly documented by Annie Leibovitz in an autumn issue of Vanity Fair, whose cover story was Julia Roberts, happy at last. And who, if I cried out in the Arts Center station for beauties, yes, I'm late, at the beginning. Frankly, my dear, I don't give. Hi, Ned. Hi, Max. Hello, Marianne. Hello, Mary Lou, goodbye, heart, who, if I cried out now, would hear. Oh, hell.